Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Spirit of Justice. And we have Politician at the stand now, and we're about to ask him about the Crystal of Ema Skye and what he knows about it. Because this is clearly the Ema Skye's crystal, but I'm like, whatever. I'm sorry, I'm just done with this man.
Are you ready? Our story begins back in the old country, when the Attician family reigned supreme.
Did it really reign supreme? The illustrious history of the Attician clan.
My ancestor was praised as a benevolent ruler. He protected the spirit mediums, a minority back then, from the rest of the locals. Some discriminated against them, you see, while others tried to abuse their power. As thanks, Ema Skye gave the crystal she had specially made as a gift to him. I am a descendant of that great lord.
That smile.
As such, my political power and influence is backed by centuries of history.
Well, that devolved into a great load of self-aggrandizing propaganda fast.
As you can see, the Crystal of Ema Skye is an heirloom of the esteemed House of Attician.
And you have proof that that has always been in the Attician family?
I have someone who gave a statement to that effect.
Someone?
My client's neighbor, one Ema Skye, age 85, gave the following statement.
I don't know what the pun is in that.
The Attician showed me the crystal back when I was but a lad.
Objection!
Can we really trust the memory of an old man?
Mr. Justice, would you care to explain that statement to the judge?
I didn't mean... What I'm trying to say is, never underestimate the memory of your elders. I may forget my verdicts the next day, but the memories of my past are clear as day. Therefore, I find Mr. Ivy Shineto's statement to be perfectly credible. Shineto? I've seen it? Is that what it is? Is the pun I've seen it?
Wow! Did you see Mr. Wright got the judge on his side? That's definitely a trick I want up my sleeve.
You're not helping, Athena. You may cross-examine the witness, Mr. Justice. Screw this guy. God damn it. Alright. Let's press, unfortunately, on everything.
Hold it!
That object you set down there, is it something of importance to you?
It's a name placard. This one here belonged to my grandfather, Abraham Attician. He had it custom made during his distinguished political career. It's special because it was crafted from the finest Italian plastic.
Yeah, the finest.
I wasn't aware the Italians were famous for their fine plastic.
You can touch it if you want.
No, I'm fine.
Very well. I'll just continue with my testimony. My ancestor was praised as a benevolent ruler, but he was also an eminent politician.
Hold it!
So I take it the relationship with the Fae clan was a close one.
A smooth and open line of communication with my entire electorate. That is the politician way.
Huh? Oh, sorry. I was asking about your ancestor.
Whether it's about me or my ancestor. Feel free to ask me anything you'd like. Transparency in government, that's the politician way.
More like dodging questions. That's the politician way. Thanks, I'll be sure to ask when I have something you'll actually answer.
As I was saying, the Attition family protected the Fey spirit mediums back then.
Hold it!
Spirit mediums were targets of discrimination.
Yes, some people even treated them like they were monsters. The transformation the mediums underwent when channeling spirits frightened the locals. And then there were those who tried to use them.
You mean they sought to control the channeling powers of the mediums?
Discriminating against a minority is absolutely despicable. A vote for me is a vote to end discrimination. I vow to root it wherever it may be. That is my promise to you.
This is a trial, not a campaign.
He's totally ignoring your questions. It's like you're a moderator at a political debate. Yeah, and only he cares about his talking points. As thrilling as your campaign is, could we please get back to your testimony?
Feh, as you wish. Now then, as for the Crystal of Ami Faye.
Oh, I was really confused for a moment because I was like, there's a green font, there's an item in front of me, and I'm like, did I have to do something? I was really confused, and then it had like the badges up top, so I was like, what?
You said she had made it, so then it was made in Japan.
That's right, they say she hired a famous craftsman to make it. And they say it's quite valuable too.
And you are going to take such a priceless family heirloom? And just give it to your Patreon?
Patron? Excuse me.
Feh, that's so typical of you ignorant common types. Making difficult decisions when the chips are down is what being a politician is all about.
But only when it's in service of your own political career, you mean?
The crystal is a testament to my ancestors' remarkable achievements. And furthermore,
Hold it!
So tell me, Mr. Attition Whipperson, are you famous in Karain Village?
you could say that, but I find my popularity to be rather amusing.
Be amusing?
Yes, my campaign posters keep going missing as soon as I put them up. My avid supporters and female fans are likely taking them home to hang in their bedrooms.
I guess ignorance really is bliss.
All this only proves my fine lineage.
Uh-huh, sure.
Hold it!
I'm sorry, but is any of that relevant to the issue of the relic's rightful owner?
Have you never heard of kingcraft?
Kingcraft?
It's the art of ruling as a king. My father drilled it into my head from a young age. And one of its precepts states, "Ruin awaits a ruler who responds to every single issue posed by the masses."
Well, that answered my question about what he meant by king of this nation. Progress. Apollo, who is this Ami Faye anyway? I believe she was the founder of the Karain channeling technique. The plaintiff claims she had the crystal made for his ancestor. That would mean it was made in Japan, right? Yes, I suppose it would.
Pain in the ass, that's what it is. Anyway, we're gonna go to the fourth statement now and present the research notes.
Objection!
You stated that Ami Faye had the crystal made for your ancestor. So am I to assume it was made in Japan?
That's right. The craftsmanship is unbeatable.
Well, that's strange. I don't see how your so-called crystal could have been made there.
What are you talking about?
It's quite obvious if you take a closer look at this.
We're gonna look at the symbol that's right underneath the orb.
Take that!
Take a look at the distinctive design here. According to Dr. Buff, it's a Minaba motif dating back to the early days of the Kingdom of Karayan.
The Kingdom of Karayan, And you based this on...
Here. This piece of evidence, Your Honor. These are the doctor's research notes on the Founder's Orb. This is the box in which the orb was originally stored. It features the same pattern as the one found on the orb.
They do look like the same pattern.
Therefore, I assert that the disputed item must have been made in the Kingdom of Karayan.
Ah! Ah! My placard!
Nice job, bro.
The Karain channeling technique originated in the kingdom of Karain, and Ami Faye is known to have traveled there to train. With that in mind, what's to say she didn't bring that pattern back with her?
Objection!
But since this is clearly a Karayanese design, not even you can deny the possibility that it was made there, in the Kingdom of Karayan.
Anything's possible to some extent. That doesn't make it true.
What the heck are you talking about, Phoenix?
So you can't conclude that the orb is from Karain based solely on that pattern.
Yes, you can!
If it were that simple, I could just as easily say it's Japanese.
Okay, but there's visible proof on it? I know. I have to agree with Mr. Wright. The pattern alone proves nothing. But that also means there's no basis to claim the item is in dispute was made in Japan either. At this rate, we're going nowhere fast.
Ugh, he's right. We're just spinning our wheels here. I wonder if we have any evidence that could break this stalemate. Evidence that could break this stalemate.
Does it exist? At this moment, no, it does not exist.
There doesn't seem to be anything we can use. At least not at this point. Well, unless we can find something, this trial won't be going anywhere.
Oh my god.
That's much better.
As much as I gripe about Paul, he's a fantastic witness.
What's his deal?
I have a suggestion. Why don't we consider this from a different angle?
I'm listening.
What if the Defiant Dragons really were authorized to take possession of the relic?
I'm afraid I don't know where you're going with this, Mr. Wright.
Consider the orb transfer agreement, which states, I agree to hand over the Founder's Orb to the Defiant Dragons if I will come to no harm. What if, as the last part suggests, this was written under duress? That would render the agreement null and void.
What are you suggesting, Mr. Wright?
While you were on your little cave expedition, I was investigating Dr. Buff's accident. And there was something you overlooked, Mr. Justice. Namely, that his accident might have actually been murder.
What? Murder?
Oh, well, okay, I guess we're gonna bring up murder now. In a civil dispute. Mr. Wright, you do realize such statements are not to be made lightly. Are you suggesting the doctor was murdered by the Defiant Dragons?
Yes, but follow me on this for a sec. The books that came tumbling down were from the archaeology shelf. However, among that mountain of books was a single volume on psychology. What's more, there was some blood on it.
And you feel this is important because...
The books that came tumbling down were from the top shelf, the archaeology books. We know this because the doctor's books were meticulously organized by subject. Archaeology took up the entire shelf, so that psychology book is completely out of place.
Come to think of it, the shelves were arranged quite carefully.
It's also worth noting that psychology books only take up a tiny part of the bottom shelf. You might wonder why a book on psychology was found amid the pile of archaeology books. But I believe I can explain what that single out-of-place book was doing there. The doctor was struck from behind while selecting a psychology book from the shelf.
And that's when the blood got on the book?
Precisely. And to make it look like an accident, he was buried under a mountain of archaeology books.
Objection!
Wait a second. This is all just speculation, right? Or do you have proof that it was murder?
Of course I do.
Oh, this is actually kind of scary now.
You do?
On a hunch, I had Detective Skye examine the doctor's head wound. She found that he'd been struck by the corner of some object or another.
Wait, what?
A wound like that couldn't have resulted from a fall to the floor, you know. Do you understand what this means, Mr. Justice? The wound makes it crystal clear that Dr. Buff was murdered.
This is too weird!
What? Well, that was unexpected.
Can we just talk about how weird and how we don't want to be hearing Phoenix Wright's objection theme right now?
Who'd have thought we'd break out of the stalemate like this? He pulled the ladder right out from under us. Still, if he thinks that's enough to make me back down, he's got another thing coming. Even if the cause of death was murder, what makes you think it was the Defiant Dragons? You should know better than to hurl baseless accusations.
Did you forget who you were up against, Mr. Justice?
The master of bluffing?
Huh?
You didn't actually think I'd come to court without witnesses and evidence, did you?
What are you talking about?
I would like to request further testimony from the plaintiff. Specifically, I would like the court to hear how he saw one of the rebels leaving the crime scene.
He saw what?
Well, damn! I like this version of Phoenix, Wright? Why can't we have this when we control him?
If he can prove it was murder, that's the end of our client's right to the orb. Did he have this up his sleeve the whole time? Oh, how could Mr. Wright do this to us? He was just waiting to spring this trap.
Heh.
Smug, Wright. This trial has taken another unexpected turn. But I must mention, Mr. Wright, that you have yet to identify the murder weapon.
The object used to commit the murder was not located at the scene of the crime. The murderer probably disposed of it elsewhere.
Oh, well, thanks for the autopsy report, I guess. Ugh. Well, I never thought we'd be deliberating the issue of murder at a civil trial. All right, Mr. Attition Wimperson, your testimony, if you please.
Prepare to be dazzled. Dazzled by charismatic oration forged in the crucible of campaign battles.
Sure, whatever. Ugh. The Rebel's crime.
That evening, I was walking alone, lost in thought. I passed by the doctor's house, and that's when I saw Mr. Rebel. He was running out the front door. It was around 10 at night. Surely that must have been him fleeing the scene of his crime. A vote for me is a vote to end such violence. That is my promise to you.
Please keep your politics out of this. So the plaintiff saw a possible suspect fleeing from the doctor's residence, and it was within the window of the estimated time of death.
That's a rebel. What in the world were you doing there then?
It seems Mr. Rebel was loitering around Crane Village that day. There's evidence he was in the doctor's study as well. Isn't that right, Mr. Justice?
You mean the suitcase?
Exactly. He must have been in quite the rush to leave that behind. Oh, and by the way, Your Honor, Mr. Rebel just so happens to be sitting in the gallery today. See? That's him trying to escape as we speak.
Bailiff, don't let that man get away!
Right, you backstabber! Why are you doing this to me?
Poor Dats. I'm pretty sure he didn't murder anybody. Alright, the counsel/defense may question the plaintiff/witness once more. Ahem. Please proceed, Mr. Justice. Oh, wow. I don't want to stop because we have, like, what, another 7 minutes? But at the same time, I don't want to stop in the middle of the testimony, so I guess we'll try to see if we can finish this.
Why were you taking a walk?
Society is inundated with serious problems that must be solved, and as a politician, I'm always on the job, thinking hard about possible solutions, even on my walks.
Thanks for the non-answer.
While we live out our comfy lives, there are starving children who suffer in the back alleys of our major cities. It's not in me to ignore such suffering. A vote for me is a vote to end hunger, and for world peace!
Yes, Mr. Attition Wimperson, we are well aware of your outstanding character. Now, please continue with your testimony.
I can practically hear my poll numbers surging. Now, on with my speech. After all, the voting public must be informed on the magnificence that is me.
Oh, this guy. I almost feel like I not want to press everything. We do have to skip this one for a second. We are also skipping that one for now.
But at the time, you didn't know the doctor was dead. Is that correct?
It's true that I've been known as a prodigy from a very young age.
Stop talking about your life!
Huh?
I graduated high school and college with exceptional grades. As class president, I reformed stale old school traditions. My exploits were even covered in local papers. But as exceptional as I am, I can't possibly be expected to know everything at all times.
This isn't working. He's bending the questions to serve his own needs. Hang in there, Apollo!
Mr. Attition Wimperson, I believe the court is well aware of your exceptional nature. Now, would you please continue with your testimony?
I have the upcoming election in the bag.
So, how do you actually intend to end such violence?
Elite politicians, such as myself, never reveal their strategies. Did you really think I would divulge such sensitive information to the likes of you?
Yeah, but surely you have some sort of campaign platform you're running on.
No comment.
I'm so filled with confidence.
Clearly, he is a platform told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. They're accusing the Defiant Dragons of murder. If this sticks, we'll lose the orb! Yeah, we need to sink politicians' testimony before it's too late. Mr. Wright is pulling out all the stops. Then again, I expect nothing less from him.
Alright, we're gonna press the second statement now.
Where exactly were you when you saw Mr. Rebel?
Right here, under this tree. I saw him dashing out Dr. Buff's front door.
And he didn't notice you?
No, I was hidden by a tree.
Is it really all that important to know from where the plaintiff saw Mr. Rebel? Yes, it is.
Yes, I believe it matters a lot. I ask that it please be added to the witness's testimony.
I was under this tree when I saw Mr. Rebel.
What were you doing under that tree?
A lack of lateral thinking. That is a politician's downfall.
What?
That is why, if I'm elected, I promise to think outside the box.
The question was, what were you doing under the tree, Mr. Attition Whipperson?
I suppose I can't expect a plebeian such as yourself to understand my grand design.
Oh yeah? Try me, O Lord of Plebs. Plebes?
Mr. Attition Wimperson, I believe the court is well aware of your grand political vision. Now, let's have the rest of your testimony, if you please.
This guy is just... I can't.
I can hardly wait for the upcoming election.
He's too much, man. He's too much.
Did you notice anything unusual?
Yes, his behavior was incredibly suspicious. His eyes were darting all around as he ran off in total panic. As soon as I saw that, I knew he had done something, and it probably wasn't good.
Despite that, you still didn't report it to the police?
Who would have thought he had killed Dr. Buff? Not me. That's why I didn't report him.
I don't think that's the case. I think he must have been the guy who anonymously tipped Emma, honestly, at this point, considering where he was. So the witness didn't notify the police. Is that an important statement, Mr. Justice? Yes, it is. Unfortunately. More statements to his testimony. Great.
Yes, it's important. I request that the witness add it to his testimony.
Sure, why not? I had no idea that Dr. Buff was dead. That's why I didn't call the police.
You had no idea he was dead. In other words, you knew nothing about what had happened.
I am truly ashamed of myself.
What?
There's been a gruesome murder in my beloved village. What a fool I've been. I was thinking only of the village's future and world peace. Is It seems my earnest attitude and industrious nature have come back to haunt me.
Only a politician would try to pass off self-aggrandizement as self-depreciation. Apollo, you think this is how all politicians will be from now on? We're all doomed if they are.
If you don't mind, I'd like to continue with my testimony.
Okay, now we shall go back to this statement. We're gonna present a study photo. Because, one, he's dead right in front of the window, so how did he, I don't even know.
Mr. Attition Wimperson, rather than Mr. Rebel. Wasn't there something else that should have had your undivided attention?
Like what? Oh, yes, of course. A politician must also keep his finger on the electorate's pulse and focus on the nation's...
Sorry, but you're way off.
I am?
Come on, there was a freaking dead body!
Would you care to explain, Mr. Justice?
If the witness saw Mr. Rebel from his position here, should have also...
Oh, whoops, sorry.
Then he should have also been able to see the doctor's body. After all, it was right next to a huge window.
Why, I believe you have a point there.
With the body that clearly visible to the witness, it's unthinkable that he wouldn't have reported it to the police.
Would the witness care to respond? Did he fall asleep? Are you kidding me?
Did he fall asleep?
Mr. Attition Wimperson. Oh my god, this guy. Oh, throw a shoe at him. Mr. Attition Wimperson!
There are many sides to any issue.
What did I ever do to deserve this?
I'd like to know this too.
In any case, I'd like the court to acknowledge the inconsistency in the witness's testimony. Mr. Attition Wimperson, did you really see Mr. Rebel?
Yes.
What? What is this?
Where do you think you're going?
Oh, I thought I'd return to my seat, seeing as I had already answered the question.
This isn't some small town hall debate, so you just stay right there until I say we're through.
I'll have to run that by my campaign manager before I...
I can't believe this guy. Yet I can, but oh my god. Glare!
Mr. Attition Wimperson, I think it's time for you to come clean.
Huh?
So then, does that mean he didn't see Mr. Rebel?
As your lawyer, Mr. Attition Wimperson, I advise you divulge that matter we discussed. Silence is no longer an option.
Are you sure about this? I'm in the midst of running for office. I can't afford to let any strange rumors get out.
Don't worry. You won't suffer any blowback for what you're about to reveal.
Blowback? I'm not sure I like the sound of that, Mr. Wright.
Not to worry, Your Honor. Nothing untoward will come of this, I promise. Now then, Mr. Justice. Remember how it was an anonymous caller that reported the doctor's death?
Come to think of it.
So he was the anonymous caller.
Emma, who was the first one to discover the body?
About that, whoever it was, it seemed they wanted to remain anonymous.
What?
It happens now and then. Some people would rather not get involved with the police.
Wait, you're not saying that...
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. The anonymous source who contacted the police after discovering the body was... my client, Mr. Paul Attition Wimperson.
Well, we solved one of those mysteries of many mysteries with this man. Oh my goodness, he's a handful. But he's so much of a handful that we need to stop now because we are completely out of time because of him. So we shall continue this testimony and this trial in the next video. I'll see you guys then.